up with my.
Well, we had a whole nother lecture after everybody left.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had a nice conversation with Steve.
I just probably needed it.
Did you say parking lot?
Parking lot questions? Yeah.
Parking lot questions.
Parking lot question.
Parking lot.
He's not recorded, guys, it's gotta be
We
good.
don't have time for that.
Let's go.
Right. And first slideshow.
Put them up back in your mouth. Is that the sound?
Yeah, just covering a little bit of it.
Okay. You got your books out. Page 1048.
10:48.
1048.
Honestly, no.
What?
Honestly?
Not even in the car today.
You don't sit on my lap
Okay.
or repeat?
Go.
35?
That was cute, Marshall. 6:45, you said?
10:48, page
48.
6:48?
10:48.
Okay, so this.
10:38.
1048.
Oh my god.
12:45.
Steve, what page is it? They're messing me up. 10:48. I guess if I look at it.
Oh, so when you get into chapters this week? Oh, let me- what do you get? Oh.
5, 8. Okay.
Okay. Get rid of that.
Did you get your haircut here?
No.
It looks like it. You just told me you got a haircut.
Daddy.
Wow.
Your haircut is nice. Very nice. I wish I had your hair.
You wish you had any hair.
Yeah, but at least you get like a breeze, right?
It's gonna burn in the summertime, you better wear a hat.
And Victor cut it out, would it be a mullet?
Grow your hair, I wanna see the mullet.
Nah, that sounds like. Just let it grow for like a month, for like 2 months.
I am.
Nah.
Is that the longest Mongol?
My nephew got his haircut, and I go, oh my god, you look like my teacher's hair. Same haircut and everything. Well, before he got his haircut.
Okay, so this entire mod, we're talking about,
Wait, you got to hit record, Steve?
Huh?
Yeah, did you hit record yet?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
recording.
recording.
It's recording for like 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I would totally stop it and restart it.
It's recording. And we're live.
Your glasses. Funny.
Come on, Reggie.
Tiny.
And they're drinking a bottle of tequila in your
okay,
He's like, it's gin.
hand.
so this entire mod, we're talking about what?
Air
Air
conditioning.
Air conditioning.
Refrigeration.
Heating and
Heating
humidification.
humidification.
What about?
Ductwork.
No, it's not about
Wait,
that.
what page are we supposed
What's
to-
the first word in air conditioning?
Air.
So what
We're
did we learn
learning
the
air.
first week?
Air.
Air circulation.
The first week was what? Air? Was the properties of air?
Oh, yes. Properties of air.
Gases.
We learned
How-
the
how-
pressures and the temperatures.
Like the boiling
Temperature?
point.
Yeah.
Volume pressure.
Yeah, some here, some heat theory.
Yeah, that.
So as far as air is concerned, we, talked about what? Temperature and humidity?
Temperature, humidity, and the dog
Dew
point.
point, yeah, yeah, okay. So then, last week we talked about what? What was last week?
Last week was about
Systems,
ductwork
the
and
duct-
how.
Okay, moving air, right? Okay, so, what's the definition of comfort? Comfort,
I hate saying so.
comfort,
Uh,
bring it all back around, all back around. Bring it all back around today.
And
Awesome.
It's a delicate balance of pleasure feeling in the body.
Okay, are there conditions for comfort?
yes.
What are the conditions?
Temperature has to be around
72.
72 degrees. And
50% humidity.
Yeah.
50% humidity.
it's actually 75 and 50.
Oh, 75.
Yeah, it's right there for you.
That's what I said.
For conditions for comfort, right?
Technically.
Mm-hmm.
Are they there? They're right there, huh?
Yeah.
Right? Oh, wow. They're right there. So we talked about temperature and humidity, right?
Right.
Last week we talked about what?
Moving
Moving there.
Movement, air movement, right?
Airflow.
Today we're gonna talk about
Air quality.
There.
cleanliness.
air cleanliness. Oh, it's right there in the book, huh?
That's good.
Wow. It is.
It
What happens
is,
when you're
right
ready?
there. Okay. You ready?
Real personally.
Here we go.
Objectives. After studying this chapter, you should be able to list sources of indoor air pollution, explain procedures for eliminating contamination sources, describe how mold reproduce, discuss ventilation as it applies to indoor air quality, state 2 substances needed for mold to grow. Continue. Describe air cleaning devices, discuss reasons for clearing air ducts, explain relative humidity, state reasons for providing humidification in winter months, describe various types of humidifiers, state reasons for installing self-contained humidifiers, list general factors used when sizing humidifiers.
Introduction. Indoor air is often more polluted than the outdoor air. Many people spend as much as 9% of their time indoors, especially the very young, the old, and the ill. Am I supposed to just say the abbreviation or spell it?
Dash break.
Okay. Standard 62.1-2013 determines acceptable indoor air quality levels. Sources of indoor air pollution. There are many indoor air pollutants, okay. Older homes allow air to enter while newer buildings are constructed to keep outside air out to increase heating, cooling efficiency. Can lead to accumulation of pollution inside requiring mechanical ventilation. Inadequate ventilation can cause condensation, smelly or stuffy air, dirty heating and cooling equipment, and mold.
Okay.
Pretty much, that's COVID right there.
That is COVID. That's 2020, 2021.
Okay.
It's your turn, Boots.
Controlling indoor air condition. Oh, wait. Commissioning? Contamination, sorry. Eliminate the source of the contamination. Provide adequate ventilation to the structure. Provide a meaning for cleaning the air.
Common pollutants. Radon is a radioactive gas. Environmental tobacco, secondhand. Smoke contains over 40 cancer-causing compounds. Biological contaminants include viruses, allergens, dust mites, and molds. Mold remediation methods depend on level of contamination. Remove source of moisture and clean or remove all moldy materials.
Okay. Maybe you heard of radon before.
Never.
That sounds familiar.
Oh, it's
Isn't
good
it like,
sniff. A good sniff, you know?
is it,
One good sniff.
Radon, radioactive death, it's not very common here in the valley. But back east, where they mine uranium, it's in the soil. Big deal, that's Idaho too. So if you work in that area, you might require to have a radon test kit to check and see if there's radon in the basement. Okay? Pretty bad. Environmental, secondhand smoke, smoke contains, yeah, okay. Biological, allergen, dust mites and mold. Mold remediation methods depend on the level of contamination. Okay, so, mold remediation. That word right there?
Yeah,
Huh,
Mold. We're not gonna say that word anymore,
okay.
I'm gonna say,
just don't talk about it.
Ever?
Well, wait, but I kinda wanted to bring it up because I was watching HVAC TikTok videos the other day, and the guy was doing ice things. Steve, it was really gross. How much
Okay.
mold was in ice? I'm not
So,
ice.
we're not gonna say that word to the
Well,
customer, ever.
oh, okay, to the
Oh,
customer.
to the customer, they
Okay.
know, we just.
Why
don't
not?
talk
Okay,
about it.
okay.
If they hear mold, they freak out.
Okay. The word mold opens up a door. First of all, you're not a mold expert. So you can't tell what type of mold it is, if it is even mold. So if the customer asked you, is there mold growing in the ductwork? Your answer is, yeah, there might, that's something in there. I don't know, I'm not a mold expert.
I can see that's liability issues.
Okay, there are experts to deal with mold. You're not them, you're not it, let's say.
No.
That opens up a door for, lawsuits and for you to even lose a customer over it. Because if you go in there and say, that's black mold, then now you freaked out the customer. Now the customer is, thinks they're gonna die, okay? And then they get a mold expert in there and say, oh, no, it's no big deal. And then you may have lost a customer because you said too much, you know, so. We just don't talk about it because it's one of those things that, you don't wanna get the customer all upset over. Okay? Leave it to the experts. Believe it or not, that's what I grew up in.
Oh, smoking chambers, just,
Yeah, that was my house. That was my house when I was growing up,
Oh, yeah, you smoke in the house sometimes.
one smoker. Okay.
Common pollutants continued. Pollutants from combustion products may include carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and particles suspended in the air. Water vapor can cause moisture problems. Household products containing organic chemicals such as paints, varnishes, cleaning products, disinfectants, hobby products, and fuels must be properly used and stored.
Okay, everything's got stuff in it. Even Febreze, how many guys use Febreze?
I don't. Doesn't
I-
smell for very long.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it smells like half, you know?
Yeah.
Half of whatever it was, what you're trying to get rid of.
It's like bleach or furniture wet.
It contains 40% pesticides.
Oh, wow,
Huh?
Wow.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
The pesticides are antimicrobial. So they kill-
I mean, but it's still pesticides.
And they
That's
have-
everything's bad nowadays.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Exactly.
Crack.
Yeah.
Common pollutants continued. Giant word.
Formaldehyde.
That is a chemical found in building materials, household products, and combustion gases. Pesticides can contain toxic substances. Asbestos is found mostly in older homes and buildings. Lead exposure occurs through air, drinking water, food, soil, deteriorating paint, and dust.
Okay, so what's formaldehyde used for besides building materials and house?
Cigarette.
Dead bodies.
Dead bodies?
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know.
It's embalming fluid. It's a preservative. Pesticides, asbestos. That's another word we're not gonna use in front of the customer.
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay, so unless, I did have my aunt down in LA, air conditioning guy came to our house and said, all your ductwork's got asbestos in it. We need to change all the ductwork. So, at that time, my mom was living there with her, and my mom called me up, she goes, is there asbestos in ductwork? And I said, no, not all the time. goes, oh, okay, cause they're gonna change all the ductwork. I said, okay, I don't remember seeing any ductwork, cause I happened to look at the ductwork when I was there. Just because that's what I do. And I don't remember seeing any duct, there might have been some duct wrap or tape or something with asbestos in it. But I told her, no, I said, I wouldn't do it, and I said, and really asbestos is fine as long as you don't mess around with it. So when you mess around with it, it causes those fibers to float around in the air, the fibers are glass, and they get stuck in your lungs and stuff like that, so. She had it all changed out anyway, so. We'll talk more about that, but it's one of those words that we just don't say because in order to have asbestos removed from your house, you have to have a company come do it. So it's thousands, tens of thousands of dollars just to have asbestos removed. It's a asbestos abatement company, and they're state certified. They have white suits.
Oh.
How old are the houses?
What?
How old are the houses?
How old are usually the houses that have contained?
Alright, your house.
There's still asbestos out there. The commercial tile, the 12 by 12 commercial tiles that you see in commercial buildings,
Mhm.
those are asbestos.
That's probably what I have in my house.
Well, the 9 by 9s aren't.
No, mine are like, where's the roller?
The commercial tiles, they're pretty common. But like I said, if you don't mess with it, it's fine, okay?
Yeah, it is.
Lead exposure, how about lead exposure? Anybody heard about that?
Yeah, you gotta get your kids tested for it when they're little.
Yeah, so.
Okay, they used to make the water pipes out of lead.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And that became.
They used to have lead-based paint.
Yeah. Back in the good old days, now everything just
Even
sucks.
gas, they're gonna have.
That's why things don't last anymore, cause there's no lead.
Even
in
gas,
it.
yeah, gas
Or
has lead.
asbestos.
The lead
That's
asbestos
lead and gas,
is
yeah.
very great.
Yeah, right.
Is that what he meant?
They also talked about
What buttons?
back in the older parts of the United States, where they actually had, lead-based paint in the projects. And because lead tastes kinda sweet, there'd be a ring around the entire apartment where the paint was gone, where the kids would actually lick the paint off the wall.
Oh.
I've heard about that.
'Cause
Those are our parents.
Just.
Those were our parents.
okay, the fall
Makes sense.
and the fall of the Roman Empire was due to lead
licking paint.
poisoning.
Wow. Okay.
Kids.
The theory, but it's, when they drink their wine, the leaders, they drink their wine out of copper goblets, and the copper would make a really weird taste to the wine. So they lined the goblets with lead, and lead didn't leave any taste, so.
They weren't very smart.
It made it sweeter a bit.
So when you have lead poisoning, you just don't care about anything.
You just feel.
Yeah, can you imagine all of the leaders
Your
in the
body.
Roman Empire just don't care
That's cheap.
about anything anymore? That's a theory.
You know, these kids wanna be out there eating Tide Pods, maybe we should have them eat some lead.
Hey.
Go lick that wall.
The food of the gods are the food of the gods.
Kids, I think that's your generation too, isn't it?
No, that's their generation. That's their generation. We still played in the streets.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we drink out of the hose though.
Yeah.
That's what.
Water.
Okay, so this is asbestos.
It's gross now.
What?
Serpentine rock.
Ah,
It's
okay.
actually the California state rock.
Ooh,
Oh,
sounds about
okay.
right.
So
California,
isn't that,
little
but it's
law.
banned in California.
How hilarious. Ironic.
This is what it kinda looks like. This is asbestos roofing.
What it does in two sides.
This is a asbestos flue pipe. Some more pictures. It looks like this. This is the asbestos insulation they covered ductwork with. So as you can see, it's got a looks kinda like, paper mache, kinda like.
Victor has a question.
None of the material has asbestos now these days that they use in construction, or?
No, they all do.
They
Yeah,
do?
it's everywhere.
No,
Everything.
They don't.
No, you don't.
They don't, or they?
Not new
They don't.
construction.
They don't, yeah, it's outlawed.
Oh,
So you're gonna see this sometimes, and this is where, if you're gonna cut this pipe and you're gonna cut that ductwork, the legal way is to have this removed by a company, so you can get in there and do the ductwork. The non-legal way is take a spray bottle, and before you tear it off, you just spray it down. And keep spraying it, so it kinda knocks down all of the fibers so they don't float around in the air.
What
We've
was
had-
the legal way of doing it again?
What?
calling a company, that
Calling a
specializes in
company
it.
to get rid of it, but
Okay.
then that's gonna cost the customer way more money.
So we'll
than
just
they have.
ourselves. Charge it out.
Yeah, I'm not saying you do that, that's bad.
Would you use a mask and all that, or
What
what?
kind of
Mhm.
spray bottle?
Run into one
It's
of them?
fibers floating around, of course you wanna
Yeah,
wear a
there's
mask.
fibers floating around, you don't want
Go
fibers.
COVID.
Go and huffing it.
You want fiber, but you don't want that kind of fiber.
Yeah, definitely not.
10 and 80. No,
Okay, so here, we have asbestos. This is sprayed onto metal buildings. And the only reason they're gonna do this is because in case of a fire. So in case of a fire, it keeps the heat off of that metal. So on a hot fire, this metal will start to sag. If it's in a building, then,
That building's going down.
and that's what they say caused the Twin Towers to fall.
There's many theories about that.
Is when the planes impacted the
That's the
the
government.
Twin Towers, it blew that insulation off of the I-beams and stuff. So the metal was exposed to the hot flame of jet fuel, and it began to sag and began to melt. It couldn't hold up under the weight once the fire was melting steel. Wow. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about mice. They're
What
looking
class
like-
is it?
Those little
This is
guys.
The hantavirus.
That's
The hantavirus comes from deer mice.
Bless you.
He's got it.
Bless you. I said bless you.
Okay, so originally I heard about the deer mice. I was working on a job up in Albury on a road called Gooseberry Road. And I was doing an estimate for air conditioner because it was the house was a bank repo and they had taken the air conditioner. They also took the slide
I'm thinking something
They
with
took
me.
all the light fixtures and all the plugs and all the plates and all of the vent covers and the front door, sliding glass
Copper
door.
wire.
So they left the furnace, so I checked out the furnace and then I gave them a quote to replace the air conditioner on the outside. And while I was there, I was talking to the guy, and he was a guy from one of these exterminator guys, worked in the office and stuff, he was an estimator or something. But he said that if you look down in the ductwork, the metal ductwork, it was, there was some mouse droppings.
Oh, mouse poop.
He goes, you see him in there? And I said, yeah. He goes, don't touch him. I go, no, I'm not gonna touch him.
Don't test the mouse or the mouse poop.
Mouse poop.
Okay, yeah. No.
He goes, I don't know what it is. He goes, but the house has been open to the environment. And he says, it's not very prevalent here, but he says, deer mice, just by moving the poop around can kill you.
Yeah.
So he said, and I go, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, it's a big thing back in the Midwest where they have hunting cabins, and they go up once a year and they set the cabin up and they go hunting, deer hunting, and they sweep the cabin and immediately the dust and stuff, gets in their lungs and they die. People die.
That's awful.
Wow.
Yeah,
So, and that's just from deer mice. That's just from their stuff. It's just the dust from sweeping it up. Since then, a few years back, they actually closed Yosemite Campground because of deer mice. Enteritis. One person died and a couple people got sick, so they closed the campground. There were the tent cabins or something up there. I don't know if you heard about it. You heard about it? You didn't hear about it. So they're in Yosemite.
Like for good, there's no more camping in Yosemite?
Huh?
Like for good, there's no more camping in Yosemite?
No, they sterilized it, they got it, they fixed it. This was years ago. So that's
I
where the
know.
first time I heard the deer mice was in California. Because this guy that I talked to that bought this house in 5 acres for $85,000 up in the hills from a bank. He was one that said you don't see him in California. But, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So it's just one thing to be aware of, especially up in the hills, especially in the higher elevations at least, you know.
There's a lot of mice around my house.
Don't touch it.
Uh-huh,
They touch their poop.
okay.
I'm gonna have to kill them all.
Should I go to the doctor?
There's another picture of them right here.
Oh, they got the like big eyes.
Yeah. And they're called deer mice and it's the hantavirus that they cause, so you just be aware, look around there. What does it say?
It says, contamination sources, detention and elimination. Once contamination is determined, steps can be taken to eliminate the source. Monitoring instruments can measure many types of contamination.
Okay. There's mold, we'll go back. Okay, I got a story for you.
Ooh,
You want another story?
Yes.
Yeah.
Story time, nice.
This was back in the 90s.
that's
And
good times.
I got dispatched out to apartment on, right off of Weber. In between Shields, Clinton, somewhere around in there. I don't remember the exact thing. But I was dispatched out there to check an air conditioning, make sure it was working so they could rent out the apartment. I thought, okay, well, I'll go out there and do that. I drive up and there's all these tents, white tents, and all these men in these white suits, gas masks and everything. And I'm going, is the address? And it was the address. So I go, okay. I get out of my van and I go, so what's going on here? He goes, well, you from Buford? Yeah, I'm from Buford. He goes, we need to check one of the air conditioning units. They're gonna rent them. I go, okay. Oh, what's going on? He goes, well, you might have heard about this on the news. And I said, no, tell me, what's going on? He goes, well, there was a couple of guys that went up in the mountains and they got a bunch of rocks and they decided to get the gold out of the rock. So in order to get the gold out of rock, they have to boil it in mercury. So what they did is they brought all these rocks down and they boiled it in mercury and it killed, there was a lady and a kid upstairs
Oh,
that died
that's sad.
from the fumes. And I said, well, what happened to the guys? He goes, no, they're in jail. Oh, so they lived, huh? He goes, yeah. He goes, so, I'm going, wow, that's weird, that's, you know. And in the meantime, what they're doing is the apartment that they were in, where the mercury was being boiled, they'd stripped all the sheetrock off the walls and they'd replaced it with sheet metal. And they had sprayed it down with this chemical called Mercon. And they had these meters and they were checking everything, you know, make sure that mercury was neutralized. And I'm going, I look inside, I go, what's going on here? He goes, well, this is gonna be storage now.
It's gonna be what?
Storage.
Oh,
I go, okay. I go, so, but the one up above, that's the one they're gonna rent out, so I need you to check out the, air conditioner and make sure it's working. So I go, okay. So I get up on the roof and I'm looking, and one of the things that I do in order to make sure that the air conditioner is proper is I gotta look down the duct and make sure that the return is attached, because sometimes the return falls off, you know, so. I take the panel off and I'm looking down the duct, and before I stick my head in there, I go, you know what, I don't know if I wanna do this.
I would be the same way, Steve.
So I go down, I go to the guy, I said, you know, I said, I gotta kinda stick my head down in the duct to make sure it's attached. He goes, oh, you want me to check it out? I said, yeah. So he brings the meter up, sticks it down in the duct and goes, oh yeah, it's okay. Okay. So I continue to do the work. The whole time I'm thinking about everything that happened with these two guys and stuff, you know, and it's like, that's kind of freaking me out.
It's kind of a depressing story, Steve.
Yeah.
But it's air quality. It's all part of it.
That's why you don't live on planet weather.
Okay, so
Very true, that's your first.
this is mold, okay? They say it's black mold, but I don't know if it is.
Cause you are not certified. to do
You
that
are
stuff.
not, yep.
Somebody knows, but I'm not that person, so. I'm gonna tell you a story.
Okay.
I got another story.
Man, Steve's full stories today.
Oh man, this is a storytelling slideshow page. Our last building, or one of our last buildings at our church, we moved in and there was had a janitor's closet. And the janitor, we opened up the janitor's closet and it was just covered, ceiling tile, everything covered in black stuff. Mold. It was black, but I don't know if it was black mold. I'm pretty sure. So I went in there and I sprayed bleach water all inside to kill the mold. But before that, we were trying to get estimates on making a bathroom out of one of the rooms. So what we had to do to make a bathroom, we had to cut the concrete from the main men's and women's bathroom. We had to make a unisex bathroom, is what we had to do according to the city. But we were getting estimates on connecting the bathroom facilities to the main sewer line. And one of the guys came out, he was a friend of somebody that went to church there or something, I guess. And I was working here and I headed over there as fast as I could after I got here, because I knew that guy was gonna go show up over there. And I got there just at the tail end of his talking about all this stuff. And he was also the highest bidder, but he was talking about the sink. Everybody seen one of those? You know what
Yeah.
those are?
I think so.
It's a janitor sink.
Yeah.
The utility sink, really. What I wanna give you, direct your attention to is this flange down on the bottom. See that flange?
Uh-huh.
Here's a cutaway view of that flange. Basically, that flange, and this down here, is basically supports the weight of this sink, cause this is cast iron.
Oh.
So, I mean, it's attached to the wall, but it's not gonna hold, you know, so they've developed this little flange here, the trap, and they support the weight of the sink on that trap. Well, this guy was saying, he goes, this is why the utility sink was in that one room with all the mold. And, he was looking at all of this, oh man, this is, so, he goes, what the problem is you got black mold in here. And I'm going, oh yeah? And me, my wisdom, go, are you a mold expert?
Come on, Steve. Smart talk, huh?
And he goes, I know what black mold is, and I know what it looks like, it put me in the hospital for 2 weeks. I go, okay. Whatever, I didn't say anything after that. He goes, but it came from this trap. He was saying that this is open to the sewer line. Right there, he goes, that's open right there to the sewer line. He says, you got sewer gases coming up through the drain, that's what caused all this black mold. And I'm not even a plumber. And I go, no, I don't, that's a trap. If you have a hole in the bottom, it's not a trap. It doesn't trap, you know. He goes, yeah, you need to break that apart, plug that and everything. He goes, get rid of that. Yeah. So, I'm like, okay, whatever. So, he left, and I told the pastor, I said, no. He didn't know what he's talking about. I go, that's a plumber, and he doesn't. So, there are people out there that don't know what they're talking about. And I knew that that's what that was. That was a flange that held the weight of that thing. And if that was open right here to the sewer, there would be no reason to have a trap, right? And if it was open, you'd have sewer gases. But he was saying, no, it's connected to the sewer right there in the bottom of it. That's where it's connected to the sewer, right there. I'm going, no, that's a trap. Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
I gotta take care of some paperwork.
Okay.
Ventilation. The process of supplying and removing air by natural or mechanical means to and from any space to improve air quality. Outside air must be heated or cooled to maintain preferred temperature. ERVs recover or remove heat and moisture from the air.
Anybody know what an ERV is?
Yeah.
So you haven't read Unit 34 yet? Oh, okay. Oh,
This isn't real.
okay. So we won't talk about those. No, we'll talk about energy recovery ventilators.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's a device that pulls in outside air into a chamber, a heat exchanger, and it mixes with inside air, inside of a chamber, heat exchanger, and it tempers that air before it gets put into the space, into the building envelope. So it's like the air doesn't actually mix, but the heat transfers from the outside air to the inside air through a series of serpentine tubing, and tempers the air before it gets put in for ventilation purposes. So if you're trying to introduce outside air for ventilation, and it's minus 40 degrees outside, and you're trying to heat an inside of a building to a comfort range, well, you obviously don't want to put that 40-degree air directly into the space, do you? So you run it through an ERV, and it warms that air up before it's put in. Okay. Good.
Ventilation. Security has become an important concern in using HVACR system. Choose highest possible MERV rated filtering system.
Murph. Not this Murph. I don't know if you ever knows who that is. This
Not
one.
that Merv.
Like a
That's
filter.
Merv.
Yeah, it's a rating for filters. So that's a MERV 8.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here comes the story. You ever heard that story?
Yes.
This is actually a this is an action photo of a job that we did. That's Bob and that's Hector. We got a call from, Big Five, over there on Shepherd, I think. Shepherd and somewhere over there. Shepherd and Cedar, somewhere. You don't know where that's at? Is anybody from Fresno there?
No, I'm guessing not.
Okay. Anyway, they broke in, they went through the roof curb, broke through the ceiling, and stole a bunch of guns. So, we went out there to measure the roof curb. See this curb right here, it's called a roof curb, it's the same thing as this unit sits on right here. See it?
Mm-hmm.
Right there, same thing. Okay, in some commercial buildings, they don't use all of the roof curbs. So in that case, they put a cap over the top of it and they seal it, you know, so for future use if they need it later on. So we went to measure a security room, or put security bars in the duct. So we measured it all up, we went to the shop and I welded it all up and we went back out and installed it with security screws. Made a new cap and put the cap down, that's what they're doing there. They're putting the cap after we put the security bars on there. We were talking to the guy when we first got there, and he goes, yeah, he goes, they came in and they stole a whole bunch of guns, and then they went out the front door, I guess, broke the glass or whatever, and then they threw the guns in the dumpster. And the police were waiting for them. The police came out when the alarm went off. And so they sat there and waited for them to come back to the dumpster to get their guns, and they arrested them.
So they went back for the guns? Wow.
I guess they didn't wanna run down the street with guns in their hands. Looked too obvious.
I go with an obvious enough.
Captain Obvious. Victor?
Air cleaning. 4 general types of air cleaners: mechanical filters, electronic air cleaners, ions generators, and ultraviolet C light. Filters, varieties: high, low, polyester, fiberglass, throwaway, Pleaton, cubes, pockets, AGPA, electrostatic precipitators often have pre-filters and isonizing or charging sections, and sometimes charcoal. Activate charcoal air purifiers, absorb chemicals and odors.
Okay, so she made you read the slide with all of those big old words, huh?
Well, I wasn't gonna read them. But
Okay.
charcoal, activated charcoal is good if you're really drunk and hungover.
Filter varieties are high loft, high loft polyester fiberglass throwaway, pleated, cube, pocket, and HEPA. HEPA is, the H stands for health, so these are what they use in hospitals, HEPA filters. Electrostatic precipitators often have pre-filters and ionizing or charging sections. Sometimes they have charcoal pre-filters. Activated charcoal filters, air purifiers absorb chemicals and odors.
They absorb what?
Chemicals and
Odors.
Oh.
So the charcoal is actually an absorber. So they do make the charcoal filter. We actually had a customer that we needed to put charcoal filters. They're like about $50 a piece.
Well, I asked you the other day if those actually are worth, and you're like, eh. So are you telling me the charcoal filters are good then?
For odors.
Odors and chemicals.
Yes. And chemicals. But like I said, we had to put them in, it was for a doctor, or a lawyer's office, and it was over at Big Garden. And they were getting smells from the Habit. And they like to smell hamburgers in their office or whatever, so we were putting charcoal filters, and they had like 3 units, and they had 3 filters in each unit, and they were about $50 a piece, so how much is that?
150 for one unit,
$150 per unit, so 3
450
units.
Oh, 3 units, so that's
$450, $450.
plus tax.
plus taxes
No tax.
and labor.
And it was actually not their cost, it was actually the,
Have it?
Big Garden,
Oh.
Big Garden that paid for it. We didn't pay for it because that was not under our contract to supply those type of filters. We were gonna supply Mervates, and that was it. So when they decided to go with charcoal, well, that, Big Garden decided to buy them for the, lawyer's office.
That's nice.
So, we were changing them 4 times a year. So, it was costing a lot of money to make sure those, lawyers were happy.
Lawyers are never happy.
Little ones, when you guys drink a lot, activated charcoal's really good for you.
Yeah,
Just
it
know.
absorbs all the.
I had charcoal air filters in my house,
The night before.
and I was gonna
take a
replace
vitamin D
it,
shot.
and you said there's not that big of a difference to get
You
cheap
gonna,
ones.
you gonna pay for it?
Yeah, I always have to do my own air filter.
What is that word right there? ION?
Ionizing. Ionizing.
Ionizing?
Ionizing.
What are you saying, son?
Ionize. What it actually does
Oh.
The night
is the
before.
electrostatic,
No hangover.
it charges the air as the air goes across it. It charges it with a positive charge, so it causes the particles, as they're positive charge, it attracts negatively charged particles. So it makes the particles bigger so they can be caught in a filter. So by positively charging the air dust or particles in the air, it makes them bigger so they can be caught in the filter, so. Okay, sea light, ultraviolet light. These have become really, really popular lately because of
COVID.
COVID. There's a guy that, substitutes it at night, and he has his own company. He says he's selling a lot of those.
I bet they're selling like coffee.
It actually kills everything. That once the air goes across it, that light actually kills all the bacteria.
Wow.
Kills the good bacteria too. But it kills everything.
The hospital, I was at Children's Hospital with my son, and they have a charging station for your phones. Like it's a big wall charging thing, but when you put it in there, it has that ultraviolet light to kill all the germs on your phone at the same time charging it.
Okay.
It's really cool. I
Kill
didn't
the
want to do it
germs?
because I needed the germs on my phone to stay alive and not get COVID.
I'm not gonna do this.
No, it does. We just talked about the ultraviolet light killing shit.
No.
Yeah. That makes sense. They use these, I've seen them used in, packing houses.
And what houses?
Packing houses.
Oh, packing, I just said match.
They run the fruit across the conveyor and they shoot it with a light, and it kills the bacteria on the fruit itself. It gives a longer shelf life.
Mm.
So, everybody knows, here's your,
Fiberglass.
your first cartoon of the day.
It's not a cartoon, it's a picture.
It's a picture.
Cartoon.
Cartoon?
In his generation, that's a cartoon.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Cartoon. They are directional. They have an arrow on it, okay? So, the reason being is because they're more denser towards the back of the filter.
That shit in the dark.
Okay.
Bipolar ionization and polarized filtration. Ions reduce air contaminations because they cause contaminants to bond together, making them easy to remove. Ion generating technologies charge particles in the air to increase the number of ions.
I just got to telling you,
I- Right here.
didn't I?
Yeah.
Just explain that to you.
You did.
You couldn't wait. You
Way
could
to
not
go,
wait till
Victor.
2 slides.
I know.
Always asking questions in class, like.
I didn't ask you
Trying to
to
learn.
give us the explanation of that word, I just wanted you to pronounce the word correctly to me. You just went ahead with yourself.
Oh, I knew you were gonna have to put her on.
Charcoal.
I was not.
Okay.
Air cleaning, ultraviolet lights, has a wavelength ranging from 2 to 400 nm, lower than visible light spectrum. UVC band 200 to 280 nm, can damage or destroy harmful microbes. PCO filters help break down VOCs.
Okay, anybody know what a VOC is?
Volatile organic compound.
There you go.
What the hell?
Anybody know what a PCO is?
Same thing, but with a P instead of a V.
No.
No, I don't know.
Oh, but what'd you say with the V?
Particle contaminant.
Operation.
Okay, anybody know what an NM is?
No.
It's those little-
Nanometers.
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 Yes.
I was so smart. I
What was,
got it.
what was
Okay.
PO, what was PCO?
So it looks like it's break time.
Oh, already.
No, wait, Josh wanted to know what PCO is again.
Yeah, what's PCO?
PCO, let's look it up.
It's in the book.
Photo
Not on our
catalytic
grade.
oxidation.
We
You know what
still
that
got
is?
2 more
But
minutes.
No, we
One
don't
more.
want to.
Catalytic oxidation filter.
Oh, look at it.
Photocatalytic
Over there.
oxidation. Helps break up the volatile organic compound.
Catalytic what?
Oxidation.
It's in the book.
Oh, PC stands for photocatalytic. Oh, okay.
Read the book, Joshua. Find it in there.
I will eventually.
Someday.
He's all,
Okay.
when I'm on a run.